everyone! Welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
Number 59. Wow. Thank you. The reason there is 59 is because of you guys. And I want to, on behalf of myself and James and JP, I want to thank all of you for your continued support and cards and letters and criticisms. And I want to thank all of my non-fans for the continuing threats and nasty grams you send me. I find it fascinating how, I get blamed for things that it's just amazing. And in fact, some of you who have written emails to me sort of have inspired the whole Dark Night of the Soul topic portion of the webinar we're going to talk about today. So I will be dedicating that to you, those of you. And it's interesting. JP and I were just talking about, how people project their shit onto others. And I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there. And I was just making a comment to him that, even if we were able to walk on water, those people would accuse us of not knowing how to swim. You see, that's just how bad it is. And anyway, if you're at all paying attention to what's happening in the world through the media, which is a double-edged sword. On one hand, I would tell you not to pay attention to it, and I have. But on the other hand, it's very hard to escape it, because no matter where you go, there's either televisions or radios or internet or people talking about things going on in the world. And we're going to talk about a couple things, and then we're going to get into the really, really good stuff. Current events. Here in the United States, it appears someone attempted to shoot down Air Force One while Trump was leaving Canada, heading overseas. He obviously went over the pole to Singapore, and a missile was fired from a submarine. Now, there are many speakers, several speakers, I shouldn't say many, but several speakers, who are saying that the Galactics disarmed and shot down the missile. That is simply not true. Okay? Understand that the ETs, in the event of nuclear weapons, will in fact step in. In fact, they already have. And I know that there is talk that North Korea is giving up its nukes because of the galactics. Well, I don't know who the hell they're talking about with the galactics, because that's a huge thing. And you have positive galactics, you have negative galactics. You have neutral galactics. You have positive alliance, negative alliance, neutral alliance. Which is why when I talk to you about these things, I specifically state benevolence or regressives, okay, or neutral. Now, understand this. Whenever Air Force One is in the air, he is being shadowed by 2 TR-3s, okay, our guys. They volunteered, and that's what they're doing. As far as any attempts on Air Force One, it will be the TRs that will step in and intervene. Let's make that clear. As far as North Korea, it was the TR-4s and other craft. They were not galactics. Okay, it was our own space fleet giving him a heads up. Point of fact. As you're aware, there's a lot of things going on in the United States. There's a great deal of shakeup. There is a very well-needed reset regarding the Constitution and its laws here in the United States. Long overdue. That is occurring, and it's going to be messy, and it's going to not be pretty, but it has to happen nonetheless. Now, if you remember 9/11, Building 7 had a depository of gold bullion. What's interesting is that during the attack on 9/11, somehow Building 7, which never got hit, was demolition. Now, that demolition didn't occur, and the wiring of that demolition did not occur while the buildings were under attack. It obviously had to have already been done. Okay, it already had to have been wired. The whole thing was a plan to take them down. And that's exactly what they did. What's interesting is they never found the gold. Well, what's interesting is that the gold is now being returned from Singapore. And it's our military that is flying the gold back. Now the question is, how did it get from Building 7 to Singapore? That will be told in the future. But nonetheless, that gold's coming back. Just before World War II, the Chinese were very, very worried about the Japanese invading China. The Japanese were not nice to the Chinese in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they still have a lot to answer for. The Chinese government entrusted most of their gold bullion to the United States just before the invasion. Well, the United States, somehow, all that gold ended up in the hands of the Federal Reserve, a private banking consortium. That gold was then moved from the Federal Reserve banks here in the United States to private vaults outside and inside Basel, Switzerland. That gold has to be returned to China by July 1st. You're going to want to pay attention to that story, right? Gold that was in Fort Knox. If you remember the story where Clinton returned gold to China, and when they drilled into it to check its DNA, to check the content of the gold, they found titanium in the middle of it. I'm sure you've heard that story. Well, the gold that was supposed to be in Fort Knox that belongs to us is on its way back now to the United States from the Philippines. That's a whole nother story. Now, There is a reason that this theft occurred, and that's because private banking consortiums, they just never have enough. They could have every ounce of gold in the world, every piece of jewelry, and every single dollar in their vaults, and they would still want the gold from your teeth because there's never enough for them. Anyway, there's a lot of shifts coming, a lot of change. And what's important to note is that in order to fully get rid of the cabal from every country, to free every country from its debt, to free every citizen of those countries who are enslaved by that debt, you have to have a currency reset. It's the only way to do this. And that's coming. Okay, it's coming. I'm telling you it's coming. It could be soon. I certainly hope it is. But here in the United States, the only way to get rid of these people is to have a currency reset, eliminate the debt completely, and you start over using a country's own printed currency. Now, how the banking consortium got into this is they agreed to loan money, but they used their own currency. So most countries don't even use their own currency, especially those with a Rothschild central bank. That's part of the central bank system. Any of those countries are not using their own currency. Anyway, this reset's coming because everybody's done. They're fed up. The Rockefellers are worth $100 trillion. The Rothschilds, somewhere between 4 and 500 trillion. There is nothing for them to buy, and it just isn't enough, okay? And they're not content to have all that wealth. They want to start wars. They want to just do all of these horrible things, eliminate half the population. So these people need to be taken out of the equation. And this is how it's going to happen, at least on a monetary level. This will free up all the nations to essentially restart, reboot, starting at zero with no debt, so that they can rebuild their countries and create jobs for their citizens and move us spiritually into a place where we are not all in survival. Now, obviously, the goal is to evolve out of a monetary system, but that doesn't happen overnight, and it won't happen overnight. There has to be gradual steps, but also what comes with that is a change of the way people think about not only themselves, but also about prosperity and abundance. And the concept of greed, that is going to have to be addressed worldwide, all right? The concept of greed. We're not doing that today here. Those of you who are paying attention, you realize and know that there are some issues with several departments in the United States, in the executive branch specifically, the FBI, the Department of Justice. We know for years there have been issues with the CIA. Starting in the next couple of weeks, the Department of Defense will be doing all background checks regarding government employees and contractors, whether they're working for Homeland or Department of Interior. None of that matters anymore. Anyone going to work for the federal government, the background check is going to be done by the Department of Defense. And simply, there are a lot of bad apples in places of power in this country who apparently got a pass, a rubber stamp. So that's changing. That will no longer be in the hands of the FBI. Of course, there's a lot of issues there, and those things need to be worked out. There needs to be more or less a reset of that department and the Department of Justice as well, because if they don't work, we don't have equal justice under the law in this country. And that's paramount. That's absolutely paramount for any constitutional republic. I want to remind people, because I hear this on the radio, I hear it on the news, I see it in newspapers. I hear kids talking about it. They refer to the United States as a democracy. The United States is not a democracy. It was never created to be a democracy. The founding fathers never called it a democracy, because a democracy is mob rule. 52% control the other 48. And if 52% decide they're going to take away the rights of the 48, that's exactly what they do. That's called mob rule. In a constitutional republic, regardless of which side of the fence you stand, your rights remain intact. They are guaranteed by a constitution. So, and I know that the schools system doesn't teach that. Ronald Reagan said it best: it was the worst mistake to let the federal government take over the education of the American people. It was a bad idea. So, that's enough of my soapbox. I get a lot of emails from a lot of people who are either new to this or who have been on the fringe, and they've toyed with some of this, and they've been to some meetings and maybe a channeling or two, or have seen a craft many years ago and now they're seeing more of them in the air, or they're just having personal experiences of different sorts. And I'm getting a lot of these emails. And what it's doing is it's creating crisis for people. It's interesting that you're having these experiences, number one. But number two, let's go back a little bit to what's really going on to our solar system and to Earth. If you remember a year and a half ago, we talked about the veil around the Earth had been lifted. Now, what that means is that people are starting to remember. They're beginning to remember things that are part of their soul. They're beginning to remember experiences that are not specifically related to Earth, but to life experience, soul experience. And they don't know what to do with that. And a lot of this remembering, this as the fog lifts from people's minds and from people's hearts, they're beginning to understand that this fog, this veil that was over everyone's mind and heart, is what separated us from everybody else. And a lot of people were very comfortable being isolated like that. That is not who we are. We are soul groups. We are inexplicably linked and connected to each other regardless of our physicality. Okay, one heart, one mind. And the entire universe is just that. And the lifting of this veil is finally starting to get everybody's attention. And that's what's stirring everything up, is people are not only remembering things about themselves, and whether it's past lives or past realities or current realities, people are expanding their vision and their perspective of what life is. Some of you are having a very hard time with that. And you're not going crazy. You're not. What's happening to some of you is that you are remembering what real freedom is, what it's like to really be free, to travel, to see, to feel, to experience without any restrictions whatsoever, without any limitations whatsoever, except those which you create for yourself. What's happening is that now that people are starting to wake up, they're seeing the programming, the conditioning that all of us have been living under on this planet for the last several lifetimes or multiple lifetimes. And that frustration of realizing that we're not really free, or we really haven't been free, even though you thought that you were, or you were convinced we were, because we said the words, we saluted the flag, etc., etc., etc. You're now beginning to realize that you aren't. This is creating a spiritual crisis in a lot of people. And I want to share with you that this is actually a very, very good thing. Now, what you do with this experience is entirely up to you. And this all depends on your perspective. We all have challenges. We all have trials and tribulations. This is what causes growth. This is how the universe gets your attention. Because you are here right now in this moment for a reason. This is not an accident. You might as well just admit that to yourself. It is not an accident that you are here on Earth at this time, in this place, at this moment. The question that needs to be asked is, what are you going to do with it? Now, along with that question about what are you going to do with it, is you came in with gifts. You came in with gifts, with strengths, some things to help and assist in this movement of awakening and consciousness on Earth. You have to find out what those gifts are. Because that's why you're here. You're here to use those gifts to be of service, not only to yourself, but to others. Now, dark night of the soul is essentially where everything collapses. What you think you had turns out not to be what it is, and it all implodes. I myself have had this experience. It sucks. When you're in the thick of it, it sucks. Sorry. But you will survive. You will get through it. But what you need to do is understand that this is the universe's way of hitting you on the side of the head and saying, dude, you are not on your path. You are so far from where you need to be and where you wanted to be that I've had to hit you upside the head to get your attention. And that is exactly what is happening. Okay? So, what do you do to those of you who are going through this, the 34 or 35 emails I've gotten in the last 3 or 4 weeks? This is for you guys, both men and women. You have to be in the moment. You have to be in the moment of where you are right now. You have to experience what it is that you're feeling, what you're seeing, and what you're knowing in the moment. You have to also understand that your thoughts, your perspective is owned entirely by you. You have to own it. You have to own your thoughts. You have to own what you think. You have to own what you say. You have to own all of it because it is all about you. You can't write to me and say, I want to be free, I want to be a sovereign being, and then act like a victim. You can't have both. Pick one. And if you're going to be a victim, then you are going to be disempowered. And if you're not going to be a victim, and you're going to empower yourself with your thoughts, with your actions, with your emotions, then you will pass through this and you will rebuild something that is on your path, that will empower you and will move your life forward faster than you could even imagine. And the key to that is to stay in the moment. The key to that is to do little things that make you happy, small little achievements. Whatever they are, it doesn't matter. Even if it's just, well, okay, I'm going to do the laundry day and I'm going to clean the house. I'm going to shake up the energy, move some furniture. Even those things make a huge difference because they're accomplishments, and those accomplishments make you feel better about yourself. Focus on the positives that are in your life. There is always positives. Always. You have to look for them. But again, you can only do that by being in the moment. Break your routine. Whatever routine you're doing with your life, change it. Do something different. Take a walk in nature. Ride a bike. Go for a hike. Take a road trip for the day. Call up some old friends that you haven't seen or talked to in a while. Change your routine. Do things that will make you feel better about yourself. Because this really is about you. And I promise you that once you move through this, and you move through the anger and the disappointment, both in yourself and in others, and you get to the other side of all of that, you will look back and you will bless all of these events and the people involved in these events, because they forced you to get to this place of self-empowerment, of where you will be. And that's the goal here. Dark nights of the soul are here to put you back on your path, to give you the opportunity to use the gifts you came in with. Okay? You're not an accident here. None of us are. If you have followed the lectures, the webinars, you know that we've talked about the multidimensionality of the brain and how the brain is built to see 5 dimensions, 7 dimensions, 9 dimensions, 11 dimensions, whatever it is. Okay, whatever that number is that you have. The reason you're wired for that is because before you got here, that's where you were. If you're wired for 5th dimension, before you fell into time, into this physicality, that is where you were. If you're wired for 7th, that is where you were before you fell into time and this physicality of their density. That's why you're wired. You already know this. It is not about trying to climb back up. It's simply about remembering who you are and pulling all that knowledge to you here. Because the goal is to take this 3rd density holograph and lifted up in frequency. That's the goal. Now, we've all come in with gifts to make that happen and to be of support to each other on this journey. And I'm constantly being told that this is really, really important work, what we're doing here. What's happened is that when we fell into time, we got stuck in binary thinking. We got stuck in 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, and when we, and over the incarnations, because of the veil of forgetfulness, we have forgotten who we were. And we've been all spinning in a circle here, like a hamster, trying to figure it out. The secret is to find balance. And the way to find balance is we have to look at the world in a different way. Most of us have been conditioned to see the world with our eyes. See, touch, smell. The physical, okay? What we forgot, which is not what we do in higher dimensions, is we don't see the world, we don't see reality with our mind there. We see it with the heart. The heart is how we see reality. The heart is where we experience reality. The heart is the center of intuition, which is where all of us need to get back to. We are all truly intuitive, loving, sensitive beings who are on a planet trying not to be intuitive, sensitive beings. You see, that's the conundrum here, because we see the world as being too hard, being vicious, being cruel. And yeah, there is some of that. But the more we look for that, the more we create that, the more we're going to see that. We have to change the way we think and the way we look at the world and the way we look at each other. We just have to. And this isn't new knowledge. This is ancient knowledge. God, you know, this has been around for thousands of years. The ancient seers, and they've all been trying to tell us this. And, you know, I had to be reminded of it. I had to be reminded of it myself. Because, you know, I'm having my own sort of a dark night of the soul as well. So it's apropos that this all comes up, you know. They say you teach what you need to know, right? So this is what it is. These are the steps. You can add or detract anything that you want. But the important thing to know is this. Whatever steps you choose to take to move through your dark night, to move through your life, to move through the challenges you may have in your life right now, if your current thinking is not empowering you, then you need to change your thinking. That's your first clue that your thinking isn't right, that we're not seeing the situation clearly for what it is. Evolution, conscious evolution, conscious awakening is all about self-empowerment. It can't be separated. It simply cannot. And if you don't think that you're consciously waking up, then just self-empower yourself. Just empower yourself. Start with just that. And I promise the rest of it will come. It'll all fall into place. Okay? And balance is a real challenge. It's one of the greatest challenges we have in the world today. And being of service, giving of ourselves, is a real challenge to a lot of people. Somehow, some way, we all have to begin to start looking at the world through the heart. Start small. Start with your critters at home, your animals, your pets. Start with a best friend, a girlfriend, a lover. If you're a single parent, your children. Start with one child. Just take the small steps, the baby steps, to do it. And in doing that, all right, and in doing that, we learn trust, intuition, expansiveness. You begin to see more and feel more. And I'm not talking about just physical. I am talking about a spiritual sense of everything that's going on in your life, and even those around you in their circle. The more open we are, the more trust we have, the more spirit, the more remembering, the more empowerment we can have with each other. Because we're all in this together, okay? It's Friday, June 15th here. It is not Friday, June 15th in 4th density. It is not June 15th in 5th density, 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th, okay? Because they don't even think that way. That is not their consciousness whatsoever. Their consciousness is, what am I doing in the moment? How am I living in the moment? Am I even present in the moment? And that's where the strength is. That is where your sense of strength is, because that is where you truly become a sovereign being. Because if you're truly in the moment, you are absolutely aware of the past, okay, because you've already experienced it, and you are also aware of the future because you're creating it. It's right there in front of you. The future is because you're creating it, because you're in the moment. You're not waiting for it to come to you. You are moving towards it. That's self-empowerment. It's amazing to watch people who are there, who get this. It's also very hard to watch people who are still beginning to wake up or haven't woken up yet struggle because they see themselves separated from everything. Their self-imposed loneliness is very, very difficult to watch. To those of you who have written me and said, why aren't things moving faster? Okay, why isn't the cabal gone yet, or the reptilians gone? Why don't we have prosperity all over the world yet? I want it to happen by this weekend, one guy wrote me. I feel your impatience. I feel your frustration. Been there for years myself, as many others have been. But all you can do is all those things that you want for the world, you need to create them for yourself first. You need to move on your path with your gifts towards those things that you are complaining to me about. Things are happening really quickly. They may not seem like that to you, but they are. Frankly, I'm flabbergasted at how quickly things are changing. Just look at all the information that's coming out, all the dark things that are coming out that have been going on for years and years and years. And I'm talking seriously dark stuff that is coming out in the news, that's being exposed everywhere. None of that's an accident. The reason it can't be hidden any longer is because the light is shining on it, and people's consciousnesses are changing so quickly. They're expanding and evolving so quickly that we are moving towards freedom. We are all remembering what it is to truly be free. The soul always knows this, because the soul is absolutely multidimensional, and the soul has always been free. It's just the speck of us that is here locked in physicality, where the veil of forgetfulness has come up and we don't realize what's going on. We take our perspective from here and we narrow it to this. Well, you're never going to see all this in this. It's never going to happen. Okay? So instead of looking at the world like this, open it up, expand your perspective, be open to new ideas, allow your intuition and to trust to allow you to move into areas of knowledge that maybe you thought before were impossible. And once you do that, you're going to be absolutely amazed at how much has been going on around you all this time. Okay? We have to move back to a place within ourselves called intuition. It starts with the intuition. At least that's, I guess, what we call it here on Earth in third density. We call it intuition. Because intuition is a connection to a higher portion of ourselves. We allow that portion of ourselves to have influence over the mind and to give us some guidance, to make suggestions. We allow that small, still voice a place to actually be in the conversation. And the more we listen to that small, still voice, the more credence and trust we have in that conversation with ourselves, the further your life will change. You will move along into a place where you can use your gifts, not only for your own benefit and that of your family, but also for mankind. We're all a tribe. We're all one tribe here. Irregardless of the colors of our skin and any of that shit, we are all one tribe. We are just in a physical experience. If all of us were to leave physicality here, all of us, all at once, leave physicality, just leave our bodies here and ascend in spirit, you know what? We'd all be virtually the same. We would think different things. We would speak different things. We would have our own thoughts. But we would all know and we would all realize in the moment that we are not our physical bodies. We're soul. And we are all one family. Intuition is the place we need to be. It is our rightful place. And most women, most of the feminine principle are there or have been. Could be they suppress it, they no longer trust it. I know many women that are very intuitive. What's really hurt the process is that we, the males, or those of us who have chosen to be male, we come into incarnations and we don't trust our intuition. We drop it. We let it go. We maybe had it when we were children, but it was conditioned out of us. That's been a huge mistake. Huge mistake. That has created such an imbalance in the male energy as to it being one of the sole reasons for war, destruction, etc. And it's this imbalance of losing our ability to trust our intuition. I mean, can you imagine what the world would look like if all of us could see the world through the heart? If we trusted what we felt in the heart first before we ever even listened to our mind? I mean, can you even imagine that? I can. It'd be absolutely amazing. I have jokingly over the years talked about being here and not having read my contract and probably signing on the dotted line after having some Romulan ale, etc., and not reading the fine print on my contract. I've jokingly talked about that. I just got busted on that. I did. I just got busted on that. So let me just share with you what I've learned about saying shit like that. The contract, if that's what you want to call it, is one that I have with myself. I came in here with specific things I wanted to experience. I came in here with specific things that I was supposed to do. I came in with specific gifts, talents that I wanted to use to assist humanity and to experience for myself. That's the contract. And my dark night of the soul put me back on a path where I started to speak again, to communicate with you guys through the webinars. And the challenges that I have now, and I will share this with you because of maybe some of you are going through it as well. The challenges that I have now is that I'm changing on the inside. And I know the change is there. I know that it means broad change in how my life works. I also know that my perspective is changing dramatically as well. Now, what's happening is that I sense this. I feel it. I feel the change. I know it's here. I know it's around me. I can begin to see things in my life now completely falling apart. And I'm nervous, okay? I'm nervous. I'm frankly running a little bit scared because I don't know what's going to happen exactly. And I don't want to be living out of a car again. But I know this movement is here, it's coming. And it's about trusting my own intuition and allowing these things to unfold and trusting my own intuition. Because we know the world's changing. Because nothing stays the same. It's constantly changing. There's constant movement. And it isn't just here on Earth. It's everywhere. There is change occurring everywhere. On every moon, every planet, every star, there is change. Nothing is the same. Because the holograph of what we call our universe, which is, as far as I know, 12 dimensions, the frequency is changing. That means change everywhere. And yeah, it could be unsettling. And yeah, we sit here and we talk about, we want change. We want the world to be better. We want this to be better. We want our lives to be better. We want change. And yet, when we're confronted with it, it scares us. And I think a lot of us are being confronted with that. Trusting. Where does this go? What does it look like? And I was reminded to be in the moment when I get like this, to be in the moment and to remember that the future is moving towards me as long as I remain in the moment. Because if I move into fear, all I'm doing is looking over my shoulder at the past. So, I share that with you. Because we can do this. I know we can do this. You know. Look. For those of you who are having a really, really tough time, who consider yourself alone, consider yourself different from your friends, or having to let go of some friends, or to love them at a distance because they're not changing, they're not evolving, and you're going through the process, the awakening, whatever you want to call it. The only validation you truly need is that which you find in your own heart. You know what you're experiencing. You know that you know what you're going through is real. You know that the experiences that you're having with spiritual contact, with interdimensional contact, with your dreaming body and what you do and where you go at night, to other places, to experience and to come back with knowledge. You know those are real. Anyone not having those experiences, there's no way they can ever validate that for you unless they're having the exact same experience. The fact that you're having these experiences and other people are having similar experiences, maybe not exactly the same, okay, tells you that there's something going on. And there is something going on. Okay, fifth density energy, frequency is permeating the earth right now. And I mean, it is just showering down on top of us. Of course we're not going to understand what's going on because we don't remember that. We don't remember what that frequency felt like. We're only reawakening to it now. All right? Now the heart remembers that because that's the seat of your soul. The mind hasn't got a clue. It's like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? I'm losing my mind. No, you're not losing your mind. You need to put the mind in the back seat and listen to the heart. We all do. Okay? We need to listen to the heart. We have to begin to see the world through the heart, because it remembers, the heart remembers spiritual frequencies. It remembers our past. It will bring all those memories to you and bring those frequencies into alignment so that you can begin to not only use your gifts, but to create what you want and to be of service to humanity. And that they're all linked. When you're happy, your family's happy. When your family's happy, your community is happy. When your community is happy, your state is happy. Your country is happy. The world is happy. It's contagious because we're all interconnected. There is no separation. That's been the lie. That's been the lie. And the benevolence are taking care of the ET ship. Okay, the regressives. They have to. We're way in over our head on that. That's what they're here to do. They're also here to make sure that no nukes go off, because it also involves them. It rips holes in fourth and fifth density. Nukes are a terrible idea. They always have been. We were never supposed to be given that technology. And we were by the regressives. Or actually, the Germans were given it first. Okay? By the reptilians, by the way. That's where that came from. We were never supposed to have that. Because look at the fear that it created. Look at the damage that it's created. You know? Look at the lower vibrational beings that it attracted to our planet in the beginning. Okay? We are better than this. We've always been better than this. I just got to get you guys to believe that. And then you got to believe it for yourself. I think we covered everything. The light at the end of the tunnel is not a train. It's not. I know there's talk about dramatic earth changes, and I know the earth is talking. And she's changing, and she's speaking and saying that she's moving energy. She's evolving as well, folks. All right? You know, it's interesting. If you were to just look at our solar system, natural moons have an ecosystem. They have life on them, even if it's multidimensional, even if it's in the infrared range. Okay? They have life, some form of energy. There really, truly is nothing that's dead, unless it's an absolute artificial satellite that was created to be a space station of some sort. But even then, there's usually life on it, maintaining the system, the machinery, etc., etc., etc. There is life everywhere. Everywhere there's energy, there's spirit. Every single place. Okay? Just knowing and grasping the idea that you are multidimensional, you should be comforted in the idea that you are in fact not alone, because you're not. I just had it and I lost it. I hate when that happens. Senior moment. Damn senior moment. Okay. that
Light
left.
at the end of the tunnel.
I wanted to read something that means a lot to me. And I have not read this in a very, very long time. I don't even know if most people have even heard this. But it's in the very beginning, when I was a teenager, I had a lot of questions about God and spirit. And Morine gave this to me on 2/24 of 1995. I was living in California at the time. And this is his expression of how they feel about creator. They don't use the word creator, they use the expression isness. And this isn't that long, I'll read it quickly, but I think it's extremely appropriate at the moment. The worship of the isness is silent and solitary, free from all self-seeking. The silence is necessary as all speech is feeble and imperfect. Therefore, as with your ancestors and ours, their spirits and consciousness would ascend out of time and space to the isness in wordless adoration, feeling, emotion. There are no priests or saviors authorized to come between a man, woman, the soul, and our maker. Each experience is personal and different than another, and should not in any way be meddled with or judged. Each soul should become conscious of the divinity that it is in itself. There should be no shrines, no temples among you, except nature and the caretaking of nature by mankind. Be a real, natural human being. Your real faith may not be formulated in creeds as you have been taught, but from a deeper portion of yourself that you have only forgotten, or you have chosen to ignore. Temples were built on your planet to honor and worship extraterrestrial beings believed or pretending to be gods. The isness can be worshipped by honoring yourself and that which is given to you. By honoring yourself, you honor the isness because you are truly one and the same. Look at your earth, your ocean, your night sky, and the galaxy. This is your church. You are the altar in that church. So release yourself from past limited thinking. It only takes a decision. What anyone else thinks does not matter. It is important to remember that the isness does not place value upon the material fabric of time. This has only been created so that we as souls could learn more about ourselves and return with our experiences to contribute to the creation of ourselves. The rituals of offering, sacrifices, and other symbolic objects only mean something to you alone. The isness is only interested in your intent, the path of your heart. Look to find your highest happiness and the motive for power in your existence. Do not look ill upon those of simplicity or poverty. The goal of one's path, regardless of lifetimes or life forms, is not the accumulation of wealth and the enjoyment of material luxury. It is to discover your true self, that which is apart from the isness. It is that part of you which chooses to leave the comfort and safety of all eternity to fall into the concept of time. To become a true human being is the practice and constant embracing of your essential self. And from that place of eternity, your thoughts, actions, and emotions should emanate into the world. Human beings should be vulnerable, open, focused, strong, and flexible. In your world, the three concerns all of you must address personally are self-worth, trust, and expectation. Your earth not only needs healing, she also needs a responsible and worthy companion. That companion is the masculine. There is a great need for the men of your world to become intuitive and focused on the development of the soul. Men must cultivate unconditional love on all levels. The men of your world are too aggressive and full of self-imposed loneliness. Please remember that all energy moves in a circle, so everything returns, the love, the anger, and the despair. We ask you to acknowledge the fact that the love that you withhold is the pain that you carry. So let love warm your voice. Let love be the wonder to children's ears. Let imagination create a world of unconditional responsibility. It will also change the order of the old world. Let your emotions give motion to the hero that struggles within all of you for the freedom to act, to be, to witness, and to apologize. The responsibility of becoming a human being is great, but it is also natural. It is prayer in motion. It is your evolution and free will in action. It is the flow of life in all things. So love the earth and make new life, for children are always a new beginning. Most of you have yet to rediscover a world you have already discovered. That touches on a lot, and the message is phenomenal, and I want you to know that fourth density, fifth density, sixth density, there is a physicality. Okay, they experience physical form, but it's different. They also experience time, but it's different than what we have here. And even though it's different, those who are rooting for us in the higher realms, they have compassion for what we're going through. They understand. Even if they're not actually experiencing third density the way we are, they understand. Because they have physicality, they have time, they have challenges. Okay, they have to continue to expand themselves and evolve themselves as well, because there's other levels to go to. And that's the natural order of things. Okay? A lot of change is coming. A lot of change is coming. And we have to be able to adapt. My ex used to have this thing on a bulletin board we had. And, I used to hang my keys on there. And every day I'd go to get it and I would take my keys off and I would see it. And it was just a quote. And I don't know where it came from or who actually said it. But the quote was, "I wonder as I wander through life." And I think about that a lot these days. I wonder as I wander through life. That wonder is to remain in a place of awe, of discovery, of being open. It's good. It's all good. JP, I'm thinking maybe somebody wants to talk to me, has a question or two. The usual suspects.
This might be possible. So, well, I'll see if I can find some usual suspects. Also, some.
Well, the questions are always good. The questions are always good.
So here's one from Dan Smith, who I don't know if I've read any of his questions out. So, are different personality types an indication of different soul groups?
That's a really good question. I don't necessarily know. It would make sense, actually. It would make logical sense that they would be a different soul group. that would come in here with a different perspective. That's very good, Dan. That's very good. I will add that to the question list. And it's quite long, actually. Okay, that's good. We got another question. I don't know the answer,
Okay.
though, but I will find out.
Yeah, it's a good one. Here's from Nick Fowler. And people of the upper fifth and beyond have manufacturing facilities, electronic equipment. What about larger things such as biospheres, the principal methods of manufacture and construction?
I'm sorry, I didn't get any of that. Can you do that one more time?
I'm sorry, did I say, was it garbled? Do the Andromedans and people from the upper fifth and beyond have manufacturing facilities in order to create, let's say, electronic equipment, things, stuff, phasers? What about things like biospheres and ships? I know you talked about hollowing out asteroids and stuff like that, but how do they build big ships? How do they build their ships?
Yes, they manufacture. What they do is they grow the metals. They're very different specific types of alloys, which are primarily all organic. Now, what's interesting about, oh God, this was such a great question. Who asked this question?
Nicholas Fowler.
Okay, well, whoever it was that asked this question, that's a great question. The answer is yes, they do manufacture. On the mothership, they had areas where there were machinery that would holographically grow metals, material, to repair craft, ships, things of that nature. Now, what's interesting about the metals is in how they're powered and the circuitry. It's all organic, living. And I'm not sure that I can even explain it because the language and the verbiage doesn't exist here. But let me explain it to you this way. I watched them build something, and they were spraying it with some type of a material, of a liquid. And I asked him, what is it that you're spraying on this? Because as it was hitting the metal, it would seep into the metal and it would change the color a little bit. And then there would be this flash, like this. And then the metal would return to its original form. And I witnessed this. This is when I was on the mothership. And he explained to me that the liquid would be equivalent to chloroform here on Earth. Or chlorophyll. I'm sorry, not chloroform, chlorophyll. What am I thinking? To chlorophyll. What plants, produce and to use to capture light, etc. Because in their dimension, the light is different than it is here. This particular chlorophyll would absorb ultraviolet light in fifth density and would power all of their machinery. Okay, the circuit boards and everything. That is not the propulsion system. They would use chlorophyll. This type of chlorophyll would be bond into the metal, the material that they just made, this organic material, and it would absorb ultraviolet light, infrared light, and they would use it for power. And that was how their electrical systems worked. So no matter where they were, if they were near a star, they were good to go. They were good to go. Great question. See, that's why I like the Q&As, because it makes me think of stuff. So yeah, I mean, imagine if we had something like that here. If you could make an electric car that the metal could absorb not only the light but infrared, you'd be good to go. You wouldn't have to charge it. You wouldn't have to go anywhere. Plug it in, you'd be good to go, because we're always being bombarded by infrared light. So yeah, that's great question. Great question. JP?
Yeah, sorry. I was pressing my mute button when it was already on. This is from Elo Mola. Will the A's or the benevolence give us, or it has been polluted by the salt in the oceans? Will that be reversed?
Yes, I'm told it will. I don't know what's actually happening at the moment, but I'm told that yes, it will. They're not going to let the planet die. They're not going to let anyone kill the planet. It's just not going to happen. For all I know, they're actually working on it now. I do not know. The moment I have an update, I will share it in the very next webinar. So yes, the technology is here to clean up that mess. Yep. And essentially what they do is, whatever the process is, it speeds the radiation to its however long radiation is supposed to expand or live to. What it does is it fools it, it tricks it into thinking that it's run its course. It's come to its end of life cycle, and then it just dissolves.
Half-life.
It just goes away. That's how that works. So if it's 100 years, if it's been radioactive for 100 years and it's supposed to be radioactive for 10,000 years, what they do is they fool it into believing that it's at 10,000 years and it just dissolves. I also understand that there's an area of India that is still nuclear reactive from an Anunnaki Nephilim war that happened about 10, 12,000 years ago. And I understand that there are conversations about making an appearance there, ships, and essentially making an example of what it is that can be done above the surface at that place. In other words, they would neutralize the radiation that's still sitting there. And it's nuclear radiation from a bomb. But that's a whole nother webinar. That information's out there. So, okay, what else?
Okay. This is from Karen Ebler. Alex, you mentioned in the previous webinars we're coming together as one, and the person with the higher spiritual vibration will be the one on there continuing that time. Give us an going on with the time.
I don't have any new information on that. Sorry, I'm not doing very well today, I guess, on the questions.
Oh, you're doing all right.
I don't have any new information on that.
From Bjorn T. Dale, regarding being a trapped soul on Earth, being forced to reincarnate here.
Timeline, merge. What's up? Okay. JP, I think we have time for 2 more questions.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yep. Yeah. Not if you can.
You there?
Not if you can hear me.
Okay. Are we still on? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Regarding being a trapped soul on Earth, being forced to reincarnate here, with the veil around the Earth being lifted, does this affect this trap? And, or do the current field of our galaxy that our solar system is passing through affect this reincarnation cycle trap?
Okay. Great question. There is no more traps. Okay? We are free to leave. You're free to leave. Just know what you're doing. That's number one. Number two, as far as passing our solar system passing through the plasma field, it only heightens and intensifies the expansion of all things. It quickens. It quickens everything, which is why there is so much going on, and it seems like right now, there is just so much going on all the time. And that's because there is. The plasma field, which is essentially electric energy frequency, has lit up everything. And it's amplifying everything that we see, feel, touch, experience, desire, emotions on both extremes. I understand it's pretty amazing to watch, especially for those races who don't have our extreme of emotions, to watch us go through these extremes of emotions. Because for races that have never experienced the extreme of emotions that we do, they're in awe of how we can contain so much energy, because that's how they look at it, as energy. Emotion is energy. They're amazed at how much energy we all hold when we use our extreme of emotions. They're just a little bit, well, they just don't have the same type of experience we do. But they also know that whatever it is that they do experience of emotions, they realize that if it's anger, it's very, very destructive. And they know there's no benefit to that. So they focus their energy and their intention on creating with the energy, whatever that is. They make an intentional choice to use the energy in a positive manner. So that's what I know. I know the A's do that. They don't do the anger thing at all. So, okay, we have time for one more question.
All right. Well, here's another one from a new person, Caesar Buey.
Maybe.
Is there? Can you hear me?
Ladies and gentlemen, it means. Oh, there you are.
Can you
okay.
hear me? Yeah. Maybe you can only hear me when I've got my camera on.
That's exactly right.
All right. Okay. So from Caesar Buey, is there any currently existing technology here on Earth that the Andromedans want us to see us use to raise the Earth's vibration?
The Earth's vibration is already rising. We need to raise our vibration to be a match, to be in harmony. All right. Now we look at volcanoes and storms, and we think that these are negative things. They're actually not. It's the Earth releasing energy. Now with volcanoes, yes, a lot of things come out. She experiences where we experience on the surface devastation, but volcanoes also create landmass. They also expand current landmass. There's a lot of things that go on that actually can be interpreted as positive. There are also some negatives, but the Earth is rising. Her vibration and frequency is rising. She is. She needs assistance, though, and the assistance that we can offer is to raise our own vibration, to remain in harmony with her, okay, in companionship with her, Now, as far as the nuclear radiation and those things, we don't have that technology. But the technology is being offered to assist to fix that. The issue here, though, and this will eventually occur, is that our entire planet will denuclearize. All nuclear facilities will be shut down. And the radiation will be stored in several places on the planet, and then the technology will be given to us to render the technology, the uranium and radiation, completely null and void, obsolete. That in the short term, long term, is the ultimate goal, is to remove all of that. See, the regressives knew that we would screw that up. They knew that. And that only put them more in control of us. So it was all, they have so screwed with us. It was all a trap, essentially, to enslave humanity. And then to create these horrible weapons to create more fear and to enslave the entire population of the world with the threat that we were going to be destroyed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another story. Okay, I got you. Folks, I love you. Thank you so much for sharing this hour and a half with me. As I said earlier, myself, James, and JP, we appreciate you. We are in deep gratitude for you, for your help, for your support, for everything. And you know, I continue to hope that this is of benefit to you guys. It's an honor and a privilege for me. It is. It's an honor and a privilege. So I love you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. God bless.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.